your destination for FIRST content, updates, and gaming.
Welcome to the fun.
FIRST Updates Now is supported by Stryker Careers. Apply the skills you gained as a FIRST student or mentor and help change the world at Stryker. Stryker is the top career choice for many of those in FIRST because of their commitment to innovation and saving lives. Learn more about the incredible culture at Stryker and view their thousands of positions available around the world at careers.stryker.com.
Our first region of tonight is our U.S. Northeast region. 3 events took place, including the New England District Granite State and FMA District Hatboro-Horsham and Bridgewater Raritan events. Our featured event this week comes from New England, and let's bring on Connor to talk more about what went down in the Granite State.
Oh my goodness. The 22 Granite State District event was one for the record books, folks. 39 teams flocked to Salem High School in Salem, New Hampshire for one of the craziest New England District events of all time. There were so many great teams at this event. In fact, the top 6 after quals had the average ranking score of 2.25 or higher. This has never happened at a week 1 New England event ever. Okay, so with all that said, after 78 qualification matches, it was 74-07 the Wired Boars from Wallingford, Connecticut, that was seed first with an average ranking score of 3.25 and an undefeated record of 12-0, the only undefeated team at the event. They would go on to select the number 2 seed 63-28 Mechanical Advantage and round off the alliance with the number 36 seeded team 17-29 Inconceivable. The number 1 seed made light work of the number 8 seed of 67-63 Fusion, 88 TJ Squared, and 80-13 Boston Lions, shutting them out in 2 matches, 74-47 and 73-54. Something really interesting happened during these quarters that I will mention a little bit later on. On to the semis. Our number 1 seed faced off against the number 5 seed of 87-24 Mayhem, 17-68 Robo Chiefs, and 22-62 Robo Panthers. 2 incredibly hard-fought matches from both alliances, but the number 1 seed would ultimately win the semifinal matchup in 2 with a score of 85-56 and 101-58. The finals. It was no surprise that our number 1 seed would collide with the number 2 seed of 95 the Grasshoppers, 34-67 Wyndham Windup, and 151 Tough Techs. Now, I said something interesting happened in the quarters. Even though the matches were completely different from each other, the number 2 seed was actually putting up higher scores in the quarters than their number 1 seed and almost matching their scores in the semis. When I saw this, I knew the finals were going to be something special. When the first match was insane, the number 1 seed came swinging with 63-28's 5-ball auto and 74-07 doing a 2-ball auto. 95 came out with a 3-ball along with a 2-ball courtesy of 34-67 and 151. If you look closely, you can see 34-67 taking a cargo off of 151's bumper. Very, very clever. It was a hard-fought match, but the number 1 seed ended up winning the match 109 to 88. The second finals match sadly did not live up to the hype, as 34-67 had a major break in the match, which left them with 3 operational swerve modules. One of them just completely imploded. The number 1 seed ended up winning match 2 in the event 87-48. Congratulations to 467 the Colonials for winning the Chairman's Award and to 63-28 for the double gold and silver cling bling, event winners and engineering inspiration. Lastly, quick congrats to 74-07 for being completely undefeated at the event and to 17-29 Inconceivable for finally getting that elusive first banner.
Thanks, Connor. Up next in the Northeast region is Brian, who's covering 2 events for us this week. The FMA District Hatboro-Horsham event and the FMA Bridgewater Raritan event. Brian, take us through what happened at these events.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the event recap of the FMA Hatboro-Horsham event. Looking back at the event preview from last week that I had mentioned, the teams to look out for were 3041 Miss Daisy, 365 Miracle Workers, 2607 the Fighting Robo Vikings, 5113 the Combustible Levens, 5895 Petty Robotics, and 1640 Sabotage. Looking through the event, we see our number 1 seed at the event with average RP of 2.91 and an 11-1 record was actually Team 5895 Petty Robotics, with the second ranked team having a score of 2.25 and a 9-3 record, and that was Team 1640 Sabotage. 5895 would go on to pick sixth ranked team 2539 the Krypton Cougars, and 30th ranked team 2095 Direct Current. The second seed alliance, which the first seed alliance would go on to face in the finals, so to speak, was captained by 1640, fourth ranked team Redbird Robotics, and the 18th ranked team 2180 Zero Gravity as their alliance partners. These two alliances fought all the way up until the finals, but seems that something major happened to 1640 in the semifinals, where they needed to call in the backup robot of 5113, the Combustible Lemons. However, that change just wasn't enough, and the first seed alliance took the win in both matches. Congrats to 5895 Petty Robotics, 2539 Krypton Cougars, and 2095 Direct Current on the event win, and congrats to Team 708 Hatters Robotics with the Chairman's Award win for their district event. Next up, we go over and turn our focus to the Bridgewater Raritan event, where we find a very interesting story that unfolds. I had mentioned during the recap last week that there were literally crickets when you would look around the social sphere. When you don't know what your opponents have, it leads to some really fun robot matches. Team 1676, the Pascack Pioneers, who I highlighted last week, was the third alliance captain that wound up getting eliminated in the quarterfinals of the event. And Team 25, Raider Robotics, was invited by Team 45, the Robo Warriors, the second seed alliance captain, and joined by Team 4285, the Camo Bots, to make their run to the finals, where they were met by the fourth seed alliance of Team 3142 Aperture, Team 75 Robo Raiders, and Team 2577 Pingree Robotics, who had just beat the number one seed in the number one seed alliance in the semifinals. This finals went through two matches, to where the number two alliance even submitted for a backup coupon to swap out for 6897 Astrea Robotics for Team 4285. However, that change just wasn't enough to force the rubber match, and the number 4 seed alliance won the event. Congratulations to Team 3142 Aperture, Team 75 Robo Raiders, and Team 2577 Pingree Robotics on the district win. And let's also give a big congrats to Team 1923, the Midnight Inventors, on their district chairman's win, and 1676, the Pascack Pioneers, on their district EI win.
Thanks, Brian. Our featured preview event for week 2 will be the New England District Pine Tree event. Connor, what's to come in New England in week 2?
It's really, really interesting event. Pine Tree District event for the very first time will not be in Lewiston, Maine at the Androscoggin Bank Coliseum, even back when it was in its regional format. It will actually be an hour north at Thomas College in Waterville, Maine. But what's crazier is the team list, a staggering 25 teams, or is it 24? The first website says there are 25, but rumors are going around is that there is a team that had dropped out, which means 24. If that's the case, there will only be 7 alliances at this event in the playoff tournament so that there can be backup robots. We are about to have the smallest official event in New England history, folks, and here are the notable teams at this event. 58, Riot Crew. 125, Neutrons. 133, Burt. 166, Chop Shop. 190, Gombi and the Herd. 5687, Outliers. 5813, Morpheus. And 6329, The Bucks Wrath. Quite a lineup. I can't wait to see what happens. I will be at the event with my team. Come on over, say hi. Let me know what you think about the show. I'd love to hear your feedback.
All right, thanks, Connor. Let's move on to our discussion breakdown. Connor, and Brian, what's the topic for this week for the U.S. Northeast?
Yeah, so for what a lot of people might have seen if they read through Chief Delphi, there was one event that happened this week where the number 1 seed didn't win, and this is what we're going to be talking about at the Bridgewater Raritan event. The number 1 seed ended up getting knocked out in the semis by the number 4 seed alliance, who ended up winning the event. Now, but before we get on, we're going to talk about like all the different things about how this alliance ended up getting knocked out in the semis. And before we begin, I'm really not trying to bash anyone here. We're just trying to talk about exactly kind of what happened, because all these teams are really awesome. They put in so much work and they don't deserve to be hated on or any way, shape, or form. But looking at their first semifinal match, the auto didn't work out for the twin robots of 1914 and 1923. Only 2 of the 4 shots made it in, giving the number 4 seed a 4-point advantage going into telly. Both teams were missing a bunch of shots. Were not missing a ton of shots, but they were definitely taking way, way, way too long to shoot. Cycle time was just too slow. It seemed that each robot would occasionally have a ball jam. The second match wasn't any better either. They only got points from taxiing and auto. Same stuff happened in auto, except 1914 accidentally deployed their climber with 73 seconds left of the match, and they became a push bot for the rest of the match. It's just downhill from there, but super unfortunate that this happened. We all know that 1923 and their incredible program, with all their awesome mentors, Libby, Eric, Sareth, we know they'll be back with a vengeance for their next event for sure. What do you got, Brian?
So one thing that I did want to point out was the insane consistency that I saw in the autonomous of the 4th seed alliance. Even though it wasn't something that was extremely spectacular, like 6 balls in auto or all 3 robots moving, it was consistently that you always had 2 robots moving. You always had around 2 shots in the upper hub and 2 shots in the lower hub. And that consistency led them to anywhere between 12 to 18 points heading out of autonomous. And that consistency, I guess you could say, is what really carried them through all of this, because being able to just have a consistent autonomous every single match is probably your biggest number 1 help. If you're going through and you start off at just 1 ball is out of place, that is just a complete advantage that your opposing alliance can take. By you going through and making sure that your auto is consistent every single time, you're walking on air at that point. And just this team did not stop. There were a couple of interesting things, like how you did mention where the number 1 seed alliance had lost comms and actually just wound up going into a pushing match during semifinals 2. There was even just 20 points of fouls inside of that match as well, which, I mean, it was 29-65 in semifinals 2. So, I mean, even without that 20 points, it's still a loss on the number 1 seed alliance, even though they fought well and hard. But like this number 4 seed alliance, I guess you could just say that consistency was on their side throughout this event, because they were always putting up anywhere between 50 to 60 points.
All right, great discussion, guys. I mean, first of all, no hate on anybody ever on this show for sure. Robots break, things happen. Things are just unpredictable in sports in general, but especially in FRC. And then as far as the consistency things go, I mean, consistency is key in almost everything. And if you can consistently hit your auto, match in and match out, you're going to have an advantage, especially if it's a pretty potent auto. And like you said, 2 in the high goal, 2 in the low goal hub, then that's a big advantage coming out of auto. If you've already got 18 points, I mean, there were matches at Detroit that didn't even reach that amount in the entire match. So that's a huge advantage moving forward. Great discussion, guys. Thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
Thanks to Stryker Careers for their support in this video. Apply the skills you gained as a first student or mentor and help change the world at Stryker. Stryker is the top career choice for many of those in FIRST because of their commitment to innovation and saving lives. Learn more about the incredible culture at Stryker and view their thousands of positions available around the world at careers.stryker.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.